The Golden Hole Reserve, far north of Queensland, is one of the most beautiful places to tour. Tourists often came to the area for the waterfalls, the swimming holes, and the peaceful scenery tucked deep within Wurundjeri National Park. Wurundjeri National Park is known for outdoor recreation, including walking, hiking, camping, canoeing, mountain biking, and swimming areas, while nearby places such as Josephine Falls, Babinda Boulders, and Goldsboro Valley make the region popular with day trippers from Cairns. For many visitors, the appeal was simple. It was a place to cool off in the water, take in the rainforest, and feel surrounded by nature. Although the wilderness surrounding Golden Hole was not a place you'd want to find yourself lost in. Hidden beneath the beauty were steep ravines, thick vegetation, venomous snakes, giant cassowaries, and crocodiles in nearby waterways, and terrain so dense that even experienced rescuers could quickly become disoriented. Once someone stepped off the main paths, the rainforest seemed to close behind them. Distances became impossible to judge. Sounds echoed strangely through the trees, and the thick canopy blocked sunlight so heavily that it became difficult to tell direction or even time. In some places, rescuers later explained, visibility dropped to only a few feet. In September of 2014, that rainforest nearly claimed the life of 30-year-old Shannon Fraser. On September 21st, Shannon traveled to Golden Hole Reserve with her fiancé, Heath Cassidy, and another friend. The group planned to spend the day exploring the area and swimming near the waterfalls. It was supposed to be a simple outing. The weather was warm, the rainforest was crowded with weekend visitors, and nothing about the day seemed unusual at first. But sometime during the trip, Shannon became separated from the others after following Heath into a more rugged section of the brushland. Exactly what happened next has never been fully clear. Some later reports stated the couple may have argued before becoming separated, though the exact details surrounding how Shannon became lost have never been fully confirmed publicly. What mattered most was that Shannon disappeared into one of the most dangerous rainforests in Australia. At first, nobody realized just how serious the situation was. The rainforest was thick, and it would not have been unusual for someone to lose sight of another person briefly while walking through the terrain. But as the hours passed and Shannon still had not returned, concern began turning into panic. Heath searched the surrounding area, calling her name repeatedly through the trees, hoping she would answer back. There was nothing except the constant noise of the rainforest surrounding him. Eventually, authorities were contacted, and a massive search operation began. Rescue crews, police officers, helicopters, divers, and volunteers flooded the area surrounding Golden Hole Reserve. Search teams pushed through dense jungle terrain, scanning riverbanks and climbing through thick vegetation, while helicopters searched from above. Divers checked waterways in case Shannon had fallen into the rivers or pools nearby. The rainforest made every part of the operation difficult. Searchers described cutting their way through walls of vegetation while dealing with steep, muddy slopes and dangerous terrain. Some areas were so dense, rescuers could barely move forward. Helicopters struggled to see through the thick canopy overhead, and heavy rainforest conditions complicated communication between teams. Despite all the effort, there was still no sign of Shannon. As the days passed, the situation became increasingly grim. The rainforest surrounding Golden Hole was not the kind of place someone was expected to survive in for long without supplies. Shannon had disappeared wearing only lightweight clothing and sandals. She had no food, no survival gear, no map, and no way to contact anyone. The longer rescuers searched without finding her, the more people feared the worst. But deep within the rainforest, Shannon Fraser was somehow still alive. Lost and completely alone, she wandered through the wilderness with almost nothing protecting her from the environment around her. Sharp branches tore into her skin. Thick vines and razor edged plants shredded her clothing, and insects covered her with bites. Her feet became swollen and damaged from walking through the rugged terrain in sandals. The rainforest itself seemed to attack from every direction. Heat during the day was suffocating, while nights became cold enough to leave her shivering. Rain soaked her repeatedly, and the ground beneath her feet was uneven, slippery, and dangerous. Through it all, she had no idea where she was. At some point during the ordeal, Shannon unknowingly moved farther from rescuers instead of closer. According to later accounts, she climbed sections of Mount Bartle Frere, the tallest mountain in Queensland. The terrain there was notoriously dangerous, with thick rainforest, steep slopes, and poor visibility making navigation almost impossible. Search crews continued trying to locate her. More than 800 hours were spent searching the rainforest. Police helicopters scanned the area from above. Search dogs were brought in, and emergency crews searched rivers and thick jungle terrain repeatedly. Volunteers joined the effort, hoping to find any clue that Shannon was still alive. But the rainforest seemed to swallow every trace of her. As the days stretched on, public hope slowly began fading. For Shannon's family, the uncertainty became unbearable. Every passing day without answers made survival seem less possible, and eventually, after extensive searching produced no results, the official search effort was suspended. To many people, it felt like the end. But for Shannon Fraser, the fight to survive was still continuing deep inside the rainforest. Later interviews revealed just how horrifying those 16 days truly were. According to statements shared by her family and later reporting, Shannon survived by drinking river water and eating small insects and fish whenever she could find them. Hunger became constant, and exhaustion followed her everywhere. At one point, the sunburn covering her body became so severe that she spent days lying in cool river water simply to ease the pain. Her skin blistered and peeled badly from constant exposure to the harsh tropical sun. Cuts on her legs and feet became infected, and her body weakened more with each passing day. Mentally, the isolation also began taking its toll. Shannon later admitted there were moments she felt completely hopeless. At night, alone in the darkness of the rainforest, she cried herself to sleep while listening to branches snapping in the distance, animals moving through the trees, water rushing nearby, and the endless sound of insects surrounding her from every direction. Every noise reminded her that she was entirely alone. Yet somehow, she kept going. According to later accounts, thoughts of her children became the one thing pushing her forward. Whenever she felt like giving up, she forced herself to continue walking, hoping she might eventually find a road, a trail, or another person. Then, after 16 terrifying nights lost in the rainforest, something unbelievable happened. On the morning of October 7th, local banana farmer Brad Finch had stopped near Golden Hole Reserve early in the day. While sitting in his vehicle, he suddenly heard what sounded like a scream coming from the edge of the rainforest. At first, he reportedly thought he was imagining it. Then, he looked towards the trees and saw a figure stumbling out of the bush. The person emerging from the rainforest barely looked human. The woman was severely sunburned, her skin peeling badly from exposure. She was covered in scratches, insect bites, cuts, and dirt. Her clothes had been shredded apart by the rainforest, and she appeared skeletal from weight loss and dehydration. Brad later admitted he initially thought it might have been some kind of prank because of how unbelievable the situation looked. But then he realized who it was. Against every expectation, Shannon Fraser had survived 16 days alone inside of Australia's most unforgiving rainforests. Even more shocking was where she emerged. Shannon was found not far from the area where she had originally disappeared. Brad quickly drove her to safety, and she was rushed to the hospital for treatment. Doctors treated her for dehydration, severe sunburn, infected wounds, exhaustion, and significant malnourishment. Reports stated she had lost nearly 37 pounds during the ordeal. News of Shannon's survival spread rapidly across Australia and around the world, with many describing it as one of the country's most remarkable survival stories. Many people struggled to understand how she had survived for so long under such brutal conditions, while others questioned how search crews had missed her for more than 2 weeks. But rescuers who saw the rainforest conditions and Shannon's injuries believed her survival was nothing short of extraordinary. The environment surrounding Golden Hole Reserve was capable of overwhelming even experienced outdoorsmen. The rainforest was thick, confusing, and dangerous in ways most people could not fully understand until they stepped inside it. One wrong decision could send someone deeper into the wilderness, and one step off the path can seem harmless, but in the wild, it's unforgiving. In interviews after the rescue, Shannon spoke about the emotional trauma of the experience. She described moments where she genuinely believed she would never make it out alive. She talked about the loneliness, the fear, and the mental exhaustion of wandering endlessly through the rainforest. But she also spoke about refusing to give up, even when her body was failing and even when rescue efforts stopped. Golden Hole Reserve still attracts visitors today, with families continuing to swim in the water holes beneath the rainforest canopy and explore the nearby trails. But hidden beyond those paths of serene scenery and waterfalls is where Shannon Fraser wandered through alone for 16 terrifying days, a rainforest beautiful enough to attract tourists from around the world, and yet dangerous enough to nearly make anyone disappear and possibly be lost in the wild forever.